My name is Marybeth Edeen. I'm the manager of the National Lab Office, and while this is not exclusively a National Lab meeting, there are lots of aspects about NASA research as well. We hope that we can, through the next 3 days, show you why you would want to do research on space station, how you can go get funding to do research on space station, and then the process, the top-level process that you have to follow to get through that and get your research to space station. This is the first time we've done a meeting like this, so it's going to be a little rough in spots, and we are looking for feedback. We'd really like to know if this meets your needs or if there's things you'd like us to do differently next time. We'll see how this goes and figure out whether we do it again, how frequently and where we should do it. We've talked about we probably need to move it around to the East Coast and the West Coast and maybe up north near Glenn and some of the other centers, but we'll figure all that out. But we are interested in your feedback and any comments or things that you think need to be added